Welcome to Frisella All Around the Yard. My name is Juliana and I'm your host. I'm the Garden Center Manager here at Frisella Nursery, and I have Sharon with me, Sharon Miramonti from Big Cedar Farm. She is a beekeeper, so we are going to talk about beekeeping. But before we start that, what else do you guys do at Big Cedar Farm?
So, we have all of our hobbies. We got into having property because we have horses. So
Nice.
We wanted to keep the horses on our property. So that's how we started. And then we have this 10 acres and we were like, what are we going to do with this? And I thought, bees have always really interested me. So got the hives, but I make soap. Harvest the honey, obviously, make candles. So the soap and the candles and any other kind of bath products kind of support my bee habit.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Habit.
Yeah.
When you guys decided to get into beekeeping, and I'm just so fascinated with how you would do it. Like, do I get on the internet and say I order up a queen bee, or how does that start?
So I didn't order a queen bee, but I researched on the internet. I thought, bees have always fascinated me and how the whole colony works and how it works together so well. So I thought, I want to learn a little bit more about it. And as I started, I watched tons of YouTube videos, looked on the internet. And then Eastern Missouri Beekeeper Association, they had a spring forum where it was a all-day workshop. And my husband and I actually went there to learn more about it, to really see if this is something we really want to do. Got to talking to other beekeepers, learned a little bit more about it. And that's how we originally got started, with understanding everything we would need. But then as you start doing it, you start learning more of all the other stuff that you need to keep it going. So
Absolutely. So how many hives do you have? Or are you currently?
We have 8.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yep, we have 8 right now. Started with 2 my first year, and they died over the winter. I was really sad because then I thought, what did I do wrong? So it happens, and I thought, I'm not going to give up. And we bought 2 more nucleus colonies, which a nucleus colony is a mated queen and 5 frames of her brood, and then some other resources like pollen, nectar, things like that for them to live. Whereas you can also get package bees, where you buy a package of just the bees, and then you buy a queen separately and you put them together. I always feel like a nucleus colony, where all the bees in that colony,
they kind of know each other
and all
already?
the brood comes from that queen. I think people successfully install queens into a package of bees all the time. My preference is nucleus colony.
Sounds like it would work better. She knows them, and then she can build the colony.
Yep.
So how does the colony work? Is there just one queen?
One queen. About, in a good size hive, about 50,000 workers.
Wow.
And maybe about 500 or so drones in the summertime. So you've got your queen, and her job is to lay eggs.
Right.
And that's what she does. Then you have all the workers, which the workers are also females. And they have all kinds of different jobs. They are nurse bees. They feed all the babies. There's attendants who feed and groom the queen because she can't do any of that herself. She's busy laying eggs.
Correct.
Then you've got undertaker workers. Bees like to keep a really clean hive, and bees die. And you have undertakers who throw them out. It's a whole village. Everybody has a job.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
And then the drones are there. The drones are the male bee. And their main purpose is to fertilize queens. Not necessarily that queen, because she's already been mated. But they will fly off and fertilize other queens.
Other queens.
Yep. But other than that, they don't have any other job in the hive.
They just mate. That's all they do.
That's all they do.
Oh my gosh. So is her mate or her the bees that mate with her, are they, do they just hang out with her, or do they go on about do their thing?
No, so how it works is when you have a queen that emerges out of a queen cell, which is a different size cell than what, a worker bee comes out of, and there's only one. So the queen emerges, she flies off for mating flights and gets mated, midair, and comes back mated and fertilized to the hive. Hopefully she makes it back to the right hive and she'll start laying eggs.
Wow. And then it just, the whole cycle just keeps going. So what happens in the winter? You said you lost 2. And I'm always how do they stay warm? How do they not die?
So and this is what really fascinates me, is that you've got you have winter bees and you have summer bees. So it's the same queen, same eggs, same colony, but somehow, I don't know if it's with the seasonal changes or the sunlight changes. I haven't figured that out. Haven't really had the time to research it yet, but she starts making winter bees. Winter bees live for months. I mean, they'll be alive almost for the entire winter, 3 to 4 months, I believe. And they have more fat bodies on them than a summer bee. Summer bees live about 3 to 6 weeks in the peak of summer. And so what they do is the queen starts slowing down her egg laying so they don't have to worry about keeping as much brood warm. And they form a cluster in the center of their colony. Usually it's in the center of their colony.
Right.
And the queen's somewhere in the center of that. And to keep warm, they vibrate their flight muscles. But then they're really good about regulating the temperature of that cluster, because then sometimes they'll spread out a little bit to let some air in so it can cool things down. But really a cluster typically stays at like 91 degrees. It doesn't matter
Even
what the temperature is outside. Yeah.
Wow. That is fascinating.
It's really fascinating.
So, and forgive me for not knowing this, but how does the honey get made?
So, you've got forager bees, which actually in the life cycle of a bee, the bees graduate almost to become a forager. So when they first come out, they're nurse bees, and they stay around, they hang out, and they feed all the brood, which is, eggs, larvae, all of that is your brood. Then as they get older, it's like they graduate to become a forager, and 3-mile radius from their hive is what they fly. To forage, they get nectar, they collect nectar from flowers, plants.
That's why we need to keep a lot of
That's very important.
pollinating flowers around.
And then pollen. They also collect pollen. So then they take that back to the hive, and then you also have honey maker bees, which is part of the worker bee life cycle. And they put the honey away. They mix it with, they have like enzymes in their gut and in their saliva, and they mix the nectar with that. They put it in a cell. They fan it to kind of
Cook it?
to get a lot of the moisture out, because if you have water or moisture, a high moisture content in your honey, it doesn't last as long.
Right.
As if it's, the perfect humidity, which is around 17%. So, and that's what's fascinating, is how they know that, and then they'll cap it. So then it keeps that humidity inside that cell that has the honey in it.
So how often do you collect the honey?
I only do it once a year. Some beekeepers will do like a late spring, early summer honey, and then a fall honey. I usually collect honey around 4th of July or after, sometime in July. And then anything that they collect and gather and store away after that, I leave them with that to help get them through the winter.
Wow.
But some people will collect all of it, and then they'll feed back like a sugar syrup, a heavy sugar syrup, to have them store that. But I figure,
Leave a
you know,
little
the
honey
best food for a bee is honey.
The honey
right? So,
that they use. So this sounds like a full-time job for you, but it's really not. You have a full-time job.
I have a full-time job. Yep. This is a hobby, but I mean, we try to make some money off of it. I mean, we
Yeah,
try to make
absolutely.
income, if anything, to support it, to continue to be able to expand. This year I bought 4 more hive boxes, and so I will be splitting some of my hives because the population gets so big.
Right.
You're able to split them. I'll split them and I'll make 4 more hives, and then we'll have 12.
Do you wear the suit and all that kind of stuff?
I do wear the suit. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think that is super.
But contrary to popular belief, a bee can sting you through your suit.
I bet.
So,
I bet they can. Have you ever been stung repeatedly, or they
a
just are
lot.
pretty? You just get stung.
Sometimes sometimes they get mad. They're a little cranky. Like if you're in their hive too long, sometimes they're like, you just need to
Get
go
on
away.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they're hungry, or like in the fall when they're trying to put food away, you
And
know,
you're pulling honey.
and well, they're afraid they're going to get robbed. So that's one of their reactions. They're kind of like,
Is that
you
why you
need to
collect
stay.
like midsummer?
Yeah, and I want to give them time enough to make some more for
winter.
themselves for winter.
For fear that you might lose another colony that
Right.
you did when you first started.
And sugar, it's expensive, so
It's super expensive.
I'd rather them make their own food than me have to buy it and feed it to
That's
them.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? Or
Yeah, I mean, I have a 5-year-old granddaughter,
Yeah.
and so she's fascinated with it, but I think she's still a little intimidated.
I see there, I try to, when I'm here and I talk with small children, and sometimes I do, and I give them kind of the life cycle of a bee and talk about pollinating and things like that and how good they are. It seems like they're less afraid
Yeah.
because I, explain to them they really don't want to sting you unless you endanger them
Yeah.
or harm them. If you're just right next to them, they're pretty much.
Yep, I
not
think,
gonna
that's
sting
a myth. So, I mean, the hives will send guard bees out.
you. Yeah.
Like if I'm walking around out in the back of our property, which is where we have them, if I'm walking around and I'm close-ish to the hives, they might, buzz the tower.
Do you think they know your pheromone yet and know that it's you?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe that you won't get. If I went back there, they might be like, whatever, danger, danger.
Right, but sometimes they'll just kind of buzz you to kind of say,
Hey, back off a little.
you need to stay away, or they're just curious.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
God, how fascinating it is. So, at your farm, do you have a lot of pollinating flowers around too, or because you said they go 3 miles, maybe?
Yeah, I try to plant a few more things every year.
Yeah.
We have, where we're at, we have a lot of flowering trees. There's some locust trees, which bees love locusts.
Yeah.
Maples, we have a couple of maples, but I mean, that's one of the first sources they have in the spring. Lots of dandelions, so
Yeah.
don't kill your dandelions because the bees,
They're good.
It's
They need
good for
'em.
bees in the springtime, especially because they're just coming out of the winter and they're hungry and they want to get moving and start getting things stored. But there's a lot of cornfields, soybean fields around me, so
They can.
our honey's really good wherever they're getting their stuff from.
Now, another myth that people think, and I truly believe it, is I used to get bronchitis quite a bit in the spring, and it became seasonal allergies. During seasonal allergy time, like to take a teaspoonful of local honey, which local here is right here.
Yep.
And so I do that. Do you think that helps?
I mean, I think so. I mean, I've read articles about it, especially if it's raw honey. So the raw honey, it's not pasteurized.
Correct.
It's not super filtered. Like the honey that I make, or that the bees make and that I harvest, you know, I filter it just enough to get like bits of wax out of it, but I don't do any super filtration. I don't pasteurize it. It goes from the hive into a spinner. I spin it out, and it goes through one filter and goes straight into bottles.
So there's still a lot of natural antihistamines in there.
And so the pollen enzymes, there's natural enzymes because it's not heat treated.
Right.
You know, they say that raw honey is the way to go. Honey's a humectant, so I think that's what helps with like dry, scratchy throats, especially during cold season. And
I just think it helps with my allergies. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking into it, but whatever, it's still working.
But it's like, it's a superfood. If you read about it, there's lots of enzymes, minerals. It has all kinds of stuff in it, which is really fascinating to think, you know, where do they get all that from? So.
Oh my gosh. So anybody listening or watching today, where do you guys have a website at Big Cedar?
Yep, I do. It's www.bigcedarfarm.com.
Perfect.
I sell, like I said, honey, soap, candles. We'll also be at the O'Fallon Farmers Market.
Over in Winghaven, I think? There's another one.
That's the Wentzville or Lake St. Louis one. There's one in O'Fallon in the old Shop and Save parking lot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
and this will be their second year, so they're still kind of getting things started.
And what's the date on that?
The opening day is May 8th, Mother's Day, so
Nice.
you know, you should go out and get your mom some good stuff.
Yeah.
And
get some flowers here. Go
get some
honey.
flowers here. Go get some honey. Yeah. There's some good people who will be there, and
well, hopefully we have you back for our fall festival here.
yes,
You were here last year.
That is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
I don't know if you made the Christmas one. Did you come to the Christmas one?
No, I did a November one.
Yeah.
I think. Was that your Christmas one?
Yeah, that was like Christmas.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Wow.
And I saw Santa, so that's great.
That was it. That was pretty cool. That was a great one.
Yeah.
Well, I just appreciate you spending all the time that you did with me, and just it's fascinating. I love lots of talk about bees. We have a lot of books here for research if you need additional research on bees or beekeeping or anything you can do with bees and keeping the cycle going, because we definitely need bees to live.
Yep. And if you're interested, you can Google local beekeeping groups. I mean, I'm part of a beekeeping group. It's called Quad County Beekeepers. We meet once a month. We talk about just beekeeping.
So individually, I could start it maybe with one of my kids or something, and we could start just a little hive on our own and just go to town and have bees.
Yep.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect. Well, thank you again for spending this time with us.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. Yeah. And go see us if you guys, when you watch us, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course this podcast, which you can get on anywhere that you would get a podcast. So Spotify, Apple, all those cool places. Like and subscribe, download it, and come visit us more often. And it's spring, so it's popping in color here. Yep. So we'll see you next time on Frisella All Around the Yard.
Thank you.